Hello folks, welcome to this series of AWS services. Today we are going to talk about Lambda. Lambda is basically AWS's fundamental serverless offering. To understand Lambda, we need to understand this concept of serverless. Now suppose you have created an application in certain language such as Java or C++, whatever language you choose. And now suppose this is just a small application and you have to execute it. Now to actually execute this application, you need to have a server. So based on what we have studied till now, we need to create an EC2 instance. Then we have to compile our function. Then we have to compile our application. And whatever executable we get, we have to then deploy it on your EC2 instance. Then that application can be triggered and it will execute. So basically, even if you are writing, say, 100 line of application code, a basic function, to actually deploy and execute it, you would need some kind of infrastructure, some kind of server or EC2 instance. Once you have created the EC2 instance and you have deployed your function, then it doesn't matter whether your function is executing or not, you still have to pay for that particular server. So just for executing your function or application, you need to pay for a full-fledged EC2 instance. That is where serverless concept comes to your rescue. Now, through services like Lambda, AWS offers that you concentrate on your code, the business logic within your application code, and the infrastructure part will be taken care of fully by AWS. So now by using Lambda, you can just upload the code that you have written. You don't have to provision a server. You don't have to create a server. You don't have to do anything like deployment, etc. You just upload your code on Lambda and tell it that what would be the trigger point. That is when the code will execute. And that's all that you'll need. Rest everything will be taken care of by Lambda. Of course, approximately. You have to, of course, do some more configuration settings if you want to put it into the production. For example, you have to set that what kind of permission the application will have if it is accessing some other services. You also have to tell that what is the language in which your code is written. And from the infrastructure side, you just need to tell that what would be the approximate RAM that would be required by the application. You don't need to tell the compute needs, that is how much CPU or virtual CPU it will need, or what should be the network bandwidth, etc. But you need to tell how much memory it will need when it would be at its peak. So if it has to be scaled out, then AWS will take care of all those things. You don't basically have to bother about the infrastructure. Now, this kind of service is provided by almost every major cloud service provider. For example, in AWS, it is called Lambda. On Google Cloud Platform, it's called GCF or Google Cloud Function. In Azure, it is called Azure Function. This kind of service is also known as Function as a Service or FaaS concept. Now, internally, this Lambda has been implemented by AWS by using some containers. So if you have read about things like Docker, Kubernetes, etc., you would be knowing about containers. But again, that is the internal part of the AWS. We don't have to manage any containers, etc. If you are working with Lambda, we can use as many Lambda functions as we want. And the pricing here is based on how long your Lambda function executes. So only the execution time is chargeable. For creating a Lambda function doesn't invite any charge. So since we are getting charged only for the execution time, so it becomes very cost-effective solution. If you are creating something like microservice-based application, etc., then also Lambda becomes one of the options. AWS has created a lot of code and put it there for people to use in their GitHub repository. So this is a new way of writing your code, where you just upload your code on the cloud in a text file or even in a zipped file. Or if you want, you can directly write the code on AWS and let AWS Cloud or this particular Lambda function do all the heavy lifting for you. So let's just have a sneak peek into the Lambda. Just log into your AWS console and click on this Lambda under Compute Services. So right now I have created 3 Lambda functions in my dashboard. If you want to see the existing function, just click on these functions. And you'll see here, we have to tell what is the runtime, basically what is the language we are going to use. So as you can see there, Lambda supports multiple languages like .NET, like Java, Go, Python, Node.js. You can write your code in any of these languages. You just need to tell Lambda which language you are going to use. You can write the code directly at this space, or you can also upload your code in zipped format. So Lambda is basically an event triggered function which means what you write as a code is just a handler function. Every time a particular event gets triggered, this function will be triggered or this handler will be called. So you can write your business logic in this space and you can tell it what kind of event will trigger it. So going by design, and you can get the event triggered by either by API gateway or CloudWatch events, CloudWatch logs, S3. All these services can trigger a particular Lambda function. So when you go and see all these services, whether it's API gateway or S3, all these things have some features to invoke a Lambda function. You'll find integration of Lambda function with so many other services in AWS, because using now this Lambda function enables you to customize the behavior of your AWS services. Now just take an example. Suppose we are a media processing company and we are using our S3 bucket to hold some videos. Now videos are getting uploaded in one particular format, say .mpeg, and you have to convert it into another format, suppose .avi format. Now you want that every time a user uploads its video on S3, you want to run an application, you have written the code for that application, and you want to execute that code every time that upload happens, which converts it from .mpeg to AVI, which converts .mpeg videos to say .avi videos. Now it's just an example where I'm assuming that you can write such application code. Then doing that with the help of Lambda is easy. You just need to upload your application code in a Lambda function, or just copy paste it here under the Lambda handler, and in your S3 bucket you can go for notification, event notification, and you can enable that every time a new file with .mpeg suffix gets uploaded, you can invoke this particular Lambda function. So if you do that, then every time a .mpeg file gets uploaded, this code would be triggered. It will read the file and convert it into a .avi format. And maybe you can put it then on the same S3 bucket or another S3 bucket. That way you are basically automating the whole process. And the good thing is you don't have to provision a particular EC2 server. Since you are getting charged for only the compute time, only the execution time of Lambda, it would be very cost-effective solution if you compare it with something like EC2 instance. The billing of Lambda happens in the chunk of 100 milliseconds, which makes it more cost-effective. So of course you can add multiple things with this. So of course you can have multiple features over Lambda. It's just the starting point. There are so many innovative uses of Lambda you can have. So you can provide something like environment variable in form of key value pair. So if I want to create a variable called author and want to give it a value, I can do like this. This variable I'll be able to use within my Lambda function. I can have tags on this. I can assign IAM roles. If Lambda is going to access some other AWS service, we of course need to assign an IAM role for Lambda. So you can write the function here itself, or you can write it in your own favorite IDE and then upload it. So suppose here I am written the function which is just hello from Lambda, written by Ashish, and here I can just click on the test button after saving it. And here you go. So testing will simulate that what will happen if the event triggers this Lambda function. Once it gets triggered, this is the response it has sent, which is just execution of this particular Lambda function. So you can write a big function and you can write your own application logic within the Lambda function, and that will also get executed. So Lambda is basically very powerful service. While creating Lambda function, you just need to tell it how much memory or RAM it would need. Rest everything would be scaled up if needed by AWS. So if you have to create a Lambda function, you just need to go here, click on the create function. This will create a Lambda function from scratch, and there are so many templates already available. If you want to author from scratch, you can go ahead, give it a name, tell it what is the runtime, what language you are going to use, choose a proper IAM role, and create a function. If you don't want to go for that, you can use some of the blueprints which are already created by AWS and hosted by it. So there are so many pre-built blueprint for you. So you can see this S3 get object Python. Just click on this, give it a name, assign the role. Assign what would be the trigger point, and then you can write the code. So in fact, in your blueprints, even the code has been written, but you can go ahead and edit your code if you want. Once it is done, you can just click on the create function and the function would get created. So you can write here my demo function. Create new role. My demo role. And here, since we have used template, it has already taken object read only permission. And here you can select what event types you want to use for the event trigger. And if you want to trigger it only within a folder, you can write the prefix here. You can also give the suffix here. It's exactly similar to what you do in S3. So we are talking about here on S3 bucket. Once you have, then you can write your Lambda function code here. Now here it is using Python code to retrieve the name of the, now here it is using Python code to get the name of the bucket and the property of your object. And it is just printing that. So every time an object is created, this function would be triggered. And you just can create the function. So for the first time, it might take some time because it is going to compile it and make an executable out of it. But in the subsequent triggers, it will trigger immediately because it will have a compiled function already there. So now your function is ready. If you want, you can go ahead and edit it, or you can just simply test it out. So here you can test it. So once your Lambda gets executed, you can see all the logs in your CloudWatch logs, and you can monitor your Lambda functions accordingly. So that's all we have in Lambda. If you got any query, any doubts, please put it in the discussion box and we'll be happy to get back to you. So see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.